Um, Dear colleagues, good morning and good afternoon, wherever you are. I'm Carolyn Lim, the Corporate Communications Lead for Musim Group. My team and I work on the corporate and sustainability communications. So special thanks to those who have been following our social media posts. Thank you for helping me to meet my KPIs for this year. Now, while we wait for the others to join, we'll be playing a video on our smallholders, one of my favorite story on female empowerment.
Untuk itu, mungkin saya akan memberikan kesempatan kepada Ibu Sri tentang apa manfaat dan keuntungan pada saat Ibu dan Bapak di sini bergabung dalam program pengembangan petani swadaya kelapa sawit Indonesia.
Di sini Bu-Ibu, saya akan membagikan sedikit pengalaman saya selama saya mengikuti pelatihan-pelatihan yang diberikan dari Musimas dan AFC. Kita telah mengetahui bagaimana pemupukan yang benar, pemeliharaan kelapa sawit yang benar, cara manen yang benar. Mungkin selama ini ya Ibu-Ibu kita menabur pupuk itu dicampur gitu ya Bu-Ibu. Tapi karena kita mengikuti pelatihan ini, kita telah mengetahui bahwasannya pupuk itu tidak boleh dicampur. Nama saya Sri Rahayu, saya ibu rumah tangga dan bertani. Saya setiap harinya bekerja, mengerjakan pekerjaan rumah. Saya memberi pakan ternak, yaitu ayam, entok, bebek. Ada sekitar 20 ekor. Kemudian saya membersihkan halaman dan menyiram tanaman. Saya juga menanam sayuran seperti kangkung, sawi. Saya selalu setiap sore memanen dan saya tolakkan ke pedagang. Semua pekerjaan itu saya sendiri yang mengerjakannya. Suami saya kerja di TNI, bertugas di Tobasah. Anak saya 2, yang satu sekolah akbid, yang satu lagi telah meninggal. Nah, sekarang kalau panjang umur dia mungkin SMP kelas 1. Saya membeli lahan ini dari tahun 2008. Kemudian saya membuat pembibitan, 8 bulan kemudian saya menanam sawit itu. Saya penanaman sawit ini tahunya dari teman atau sahabat. Kalau saya tidak mengikuti program dari FC dan Musimas, kemungkinan saya tidak akan mengetahui bagaimana cara pemupukan yang baik dan penanaman yang baik serta pemanenan yang baik. Produksi panen saya mulanya dari 5 ton, kemudian menaik menjadi 7 sampai dengan 8 ton. Kami diberi pelajaran atau pelatihan cara mengisi logbook, biar supaya kita mengetahui hasil panen kita per bulannya berkurang atau bertambah. Saya bergabung dari kelompok tani di tahun 2016. Kemudian saya diangkat menjadi bendahara di Asosiasi Petani di tahun 2018 sampai sekarang. Saya di bendahara mengatur semua pengeluaran dan pemasukan di asosiasi. Saya sangat bangga karena belum tentu di organisasi atau di asosiasi kita ini ada seseorang perempuan yang ikut campur di dalam asosiasi ini.
So before we start, some housekeeping rules. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the Q&A box in your Zoom control panel. We have two other speakers with us today, my senior colleagues, Mr. Olivier Tichet and Mr. Robert Nicholas. Olivier is the Director of Sustainable Supply Chain, as many of you may have known. He leads the implementation of Musim's sustainability plan for our suppliers and our independent smallholders. He also works closely with our customers to identify synergies and partnerships. Olivier is active in the Roundtable on Sustainable Palm Oil, the High Carbon Stock Approach, and the Palm Oil Innovation Group. The other speaker for today, Rob Nicholas, is the General Manager for Program and Projects at Musim. Rob leads our Extension Services Program, and his role includes working with independent smallholders of our third-party suppliers. Some of you may have joined us when we launched our new policy in September. This time round, we want to take you through our recent 2019 Sustainability Report, and most importantly, how we intend to implement our ambition around for Aceh landscape. So the webinar can be divided into three main sections. The first one, which I'll present, just a brief overview on how the pandemic has impacted our operations. The second part will be led by Rob on the key highlights from our 2019 Sustainability Report. And finally, Olivier will present our vision for a thriving Aceh landscape. So our fight against COVID-19 continues. We have made good progress, taking proactive measures to ensure the health and safety of our staff and local communities in where we operate. To date, we have donated more than $5 million worth of cash and in-kind benefits. For example, we have partnered the Indonesian government to expand our testing capability, including building a lab. So as the provision of palm oil is considered essential in many countries, over the past year, we've learned from our operational experience in different countries, starting from China, and put a wide-ranging set of measures to tackle the spread of infection and ensure business continuity. For example, we engaged an infectious disease expert to help with the planning for our operations in Indonesia. So these are some of the stuff we've done. COVID-19 will remain a problem for a long time. It will take at least a year, or probably even longer, before vaccines become widely available. So in the meantime, we will all have to learn with the pandemic. So while dealing with the pandemic is at the forefront of our efforts this year, it has not stalled our ambition. The change in pace and way of operating has allowed us to reflect and review plans for continuous improvement. Reflecting on our 2019 achievements feels like looking back at a different world. We strive to lead by example, to pioneer new and more responsible way of doing business in the industry. So we have made significant progress and look forward to the road ahead. Rob will start by giving the key highlights of our sustainability report. Rob, please.
Thanks, Caroline. I'd just like to welcome everybody along today. The Musim Group operationalises industry best practices for sustainable production. One of our top priorities is to comply with and support leading industry certification and verification schemes. As at December 2019, 12 of our mills were RSPO certified. In June 2020, a new mill, PT Global Indo Alam Perkasa, GAP, became RSPO certified, bringing in total the number of certified mills to 13. In November 2018, the RSPO successfully adopted the 2018 Principles and Criteria, PNCs, which reflects sustainability substantially higher standards compared to the 2013 PNCs. In October 2019, our subsidiary, PT Multipesada Grata Mega, MPG, was the first facility in the world to be audited against the revised standards. Since 2015, Musimas has been a committed member of the RS Palm Oil Innovation Group, POIG. And in February 2019, Musimas Group successfully became POIG verified. Our 12 RSPO certified mills with plantations in Sumatra and Kalimantan are now able to produce 800,000 metric tons of POIG verified and RSPO segregated palm oil. As part of our commitment to the New York Declaration of Forest, NYDF, we have implemented a series of measures that conserve, restore and enhance the natural environments around us. In 2019, we identified CV and HCSA assessments. Our entire conservation area now totals 24,220 hectares, amounting to 12% of our titled land. Any new development on peat, regardless of depth, is strictly prohibited. And in 2019, an additional 4,051 hectares of peat area have been identified through our HCA and HCSA assessments and are maintained as conservation areas. Recognising that water is a finite global resource, Musim has adopted comprehensive measures to maintain the quality and availability of surface water and groundwater for our business and surrounding communities. We are one of the few companies in the palm oil industry that uses a water footprint network methodology to measure water consumption. Our overall water measure, our mill water usage intensity remained the same in 2018 at 1.23 metric cubic tonnes per cubic tonne of processed FFB, despite having opened a new mill that became fully operational in 2019. We strive to reduce reliance on chemical fertilisers and pesticides by optimising their use and replacing with organic substitutes where possible. Supported by our R&D teams, we study and employ best management practices and have implemented an integrated pest management system to reduce reliance on pesticides and herbicides, and to manage pest outbreaks as well. Evaluated against POIG requirements, we employed a phase-out approach with 10 pesticides by 2021. In 2019, we successfully transitioned away from using venomil and glyphosate ammonia, bringing our total to 4 phased-out pesticides since 2018. In 2019, our monitoring system identified 119 hotspots within our concessions. Only 16 of these turned out to be fires, amounting to 49 hectares of burned land, a slight increase over the area affected in 2018, which was 48 hectares. We managed this despite the significant jump in the number of fires in Sumatra and Kalimantan from August to September, through strict adherence to our zero burn policy and strengthened fire management processes. While fires are usually caused by extremely dry weather, some are due to local communities using illegal slash and burn methods to clear farmlands for crops. As a member of the Fire Free Alliance, we launched our Fire Free Village program, FFVP, to engage and educate local communities. As of December 2019, the FFVP covered 74 villages, spanning 458,361 hectares. In 2019 alone, we conducted 148 trainings in these communities. Musim takes the impact of climate change seriously and is strongly committed to minimising greenhouse gas emissions within our operations. We track our carbon footprint at the group level using the GHG protocol methodology and track emissions at our RSPO certified mills using the RSPO Palm GHG calculator. Our overall net emissions amounted to almost 2.5 million metric tonnes of CO2 in 2019, which is 9.7% less than our 2018 figure. In 2019, our total emission intensity for RSPO certified mills was 2.8 tonnes of carbon dioxide equivalent per tonne of crude palm oil processed, showing a 19.8% decrease from 2018. We also recorded a 53% reduction in emission intensity against our 2006 baseline. With this, we are well on track to meet our 2025 target to reduce our emission intensity by 55% compared to our 2006 baseline. We have commissioned methane capture facilities at all our mills to harness methane generated by the treatment of palm oil effluent. Besides powering our mills, estates and workers' housings, we export the surplus electricity to the national grid. In 2019, this amounted to 54,134,134,100 kilowatt hours. With 15 operational methane capture plants, a total of 549,317 metric cubic tonnes of CO2 emission were avoided in 2019. Our core values include respecting and protecting, and as well as upholding the rights of our employees and members of the community surrounding our operations. We comply with regulations for wages and provide workers with additional benefits, far exceeding legal requirements. Across the group, the monetary amount of the benefits provided in 2019 was equivalent to 90% or more of the minimum wage set by the Indonesian government. Permanent and temporary workers are free to join any association, union or collective bargaining agreement. Currently, 81.9% of our employees in Sumatra and Kalimantan belong to workers' unions. At each site, there are dedicated gender committees that address any human rights or equality concerns, with a particular focus on women and children. We have also enacted new policies that support women's inclusion in the workforce, such as ensuring pregnant workers retain their position after maternity leave, and providing childcare services so that women can continue working. In 2019, we took steps to establish designated breastfeeding areas for women workers. Our occupational health and safety management and performance are overseen at the group level. Across our plantations, 26 clinics offer free healthcare to our workers and their families. We continue to remain vigilant with health and safety measures, resulting in a 66% decrease in lost time accident rates, that's the frequency rate, since 2015. Severity rates have also decreased by 33% in 2019, as injuries were less serious. Another large element of what we do is looking after children. We believe children need healthy, nurturing environments to optimise their development. We've established childcare centres at each of our estates to meet the needs of workers with preschool children and ensure access to education for all school-aged children living on our plantations. Within our operations, we have built and funded 9 schools throughout Yayasan Anwar Karim, YAK. These schools provide elementary and secondary education to Musimas employees, as well as we built Guntung Indah Manusa, and in 2019 we completed construction of a second school at PG Musimas. There are 13,950 children of mill and estate workers under the age of 18 living at our plantations. They include 9,099 school-aged children, 97% of whom are currently enrolled in YAK or neighbouring community schools. We respect and uphold the human rights of all community members, including Indigenous and local communities' rights, and their legal and customary land tenure rights. The scheme smallholders we support fall under our Credit Koperasi Prima and Kota, KKPR, cooperative, or our Village Development Program, the VDP. The KKPR was initiated voluntarily in the 1990s, well before the 2007 establishment of Indonesian regulations that require companies to facilitate the creation of plasma smallholder schemes for the benefit of surrounding communities. The KKPA began with 762 smallholders, and in 2019 alone, 1,148 farmers were newly enrolled in our programs and now comprise 3,751 smallholders who manage a total of 6,327 hectares of land under the scheme. The Village Development Program was launched in 2000 as part of our CSR efforts. Through VDP, Musimas facilitates funding and investment in oil palm development while providing communities with technical guidance and training on oil palm cultivation. Beginning with 4 villages and 12 hectares in 2000, the VDP now covers 17 villages across Sumatra and Kalimantan, spanning a total of 127 hectares. As at December 2019, 54% of the total land belonging to scheme smallholders is RSPO certified. 3,392 hectares under KKPR and 102 hectares under the VDP, totaling 3,494 hectares. We also have a large commitment to the smallholders, both smallholders supplying to Musimas, as well as supplying to our suppliers and the broader smallholder community. As of 2019, 27,927 independent smallholders had received training under the Musimas IFC program. It exceeded the target of 20,000. As of November 2020, this number had grown to over 35,000. Of that, we also had another 1,247 independent smallholders under our own extension services program. In November 2020, that had grown to 1,452. Unfortunately, that's been delayed somewhat by the COVID situation, but we're on track to expand that in 2021. We've got, as of December 2019, we had 705 smallholders who are RSPO certified as part of the program. And now, at the end of November in 2020, that has grown to over 2,000 truly independent smallholders being RSPO certified. Also, as part of this, 10,000 female independent smallholders have been educated and trained in various gender equity issues, as well as being recipients of training on our good agricultural practices, financial literacy, and other materials. This is something that we've got a big passion for. We're extending that into other areas now, and we really see next year, 2021, being a year where we break out and continue this work with true independent smallholders. Thanks very much for your time. I'd like just now to hand over to Olivier, who will continue to give the rest of the presentation. Thanks, Olivier.
Thank you very much, Rob. Hello, everyone. Very glad to be presenting today, as you can imagine. Let me share first a snapshot of our supply-based progress and later focus on Aceh. So let's see if I can control the presentation or not. Right. So first, a snapshot of our supply chain. That's updated to the third quarter of 2020. We still have, as you can see, we still have work to do. Not everything is green. We have targets to 2025, which we strive to achieve early. On engagement, 94% of our suppliers have an NDPE policy or have committed to our own NDPE policy. 74% have attended NDPE workshops that were organized, and that covers both our Indonesian and Malaysian suppliers. 67% of our suppliers have completed self-assessments using a standardized tool, and our core suppliers have actually gone one step further and have all prepared NDPE roadmaps. We have achieved 100% traceability to the mills in 2015, and we've maintained it. We are continuing to progress towards 100% traceability to the place of production, TTP, traceability to plantation. We are currently at 72% TTP, and every day that goes, we are gathering and analyzing more data or finding smarter ways of achieving TTP. On the monitoring for deforestation, peat development, and fires, we can cover 100% of our suppliers with concessions, or about 6 million hectares out of, let's say, 20 million hectares in Indonesia and Malaysia. Looking forward, so we are supporting also innovation for ourselves. As you know, it's a policy commitment, and also for the industry. So in deforestation monitoring, we are supporting with others, the World Resources Institute with their RAD platform, which is, as I always say, less about detecting deforestation and more about collaborating how to verify the alerts and share the information. Always that theme of sharing without sharing. We are also part of the Decent Rural Living Initiative, and we are also, and that's more exciting to us in terms of transparency, members of the Palm Oil Collaboration Group, using the IRF, so the Integrated Reporting Framework aggregator for our refineries and for our canal crushers. We have started verifying parts of our profiles. It was a specific request, and we've done that with an independent third party. An interesting exercise and something we believe bears a lot of promise for our industry as a whole. So you can see it's a lot about collaboration, creating non-competitive tools to support and to demonstrate progress. It's about being transparent and being able to pass information along the supply chain in a credible manner. Our industry is, I believe, still already the most transparent of the forest-risk commodities. We have to make it now the more collaborative, because collaboration builds trust. And that's what we need. We need to rebuild or to build trust. Today, we'll be focusing on Aceh. So I want to update you a little bit on our project, and most important, to introduce our Aceh strategy. So why Aceh? Because Aceh, oh, let's see, yeah, I'm still on the moon apparently. Why Aceh? Because Aceh is actually not a critical supply base for Musim. It's pretty small in reality. We have no mill, we have no refinery in Aceh. At most, we have about 30, 31 suppliers, mills actually even, supplying us in this region, or far less than 10% of our global supply base. But Aceh is a rather unique region. If you're interested in history, you can look it up. It's absolutely fascinating. And I do not mean the recent history. I mean 17th century. It's rather interesting, the relationship between Aceh and the Sublime Port, let's say. But in terms of biodiversity, it is also fascinating, and it is truly unique. In as much that it is the last place in Sumatra where you can find elephants, rhinos, and orangutans in the same landscape. So logically, Aceh is also the focus of much attention by NGOs, by our customers, by the scientific community. Our commitments apply to Aceh as they apply to any other region from which we source. But we are doing a little bit more in Aceh. So where are we, Musim, in terms of sustainability in Aceh? 100% of our suppliers, big and small, have committed to NDPE, either through their own policies or by adhering to ours. Some have done it earlier than others. Some have done it with varying degrees, let's say, of gracefulness. Some are RSPO members and certified. We have some IP certified supplier. We have one in particular, Sokfindo, 100% RSPO IP certified producer. On average, our suppliers in Aceh are performing slightly better than the average of our other suppliers, which is not to say there are not problems, but we can say that we have started putting some effort in Aceh. We're already seeing some little results. 2020 has been a bit difficult because of the COVID pandemic. It has slowed us down, and very much so in Aceh, in particular for the trial of the RAD platform, which will now start only in 2021. Also for the start of our second smallholder hub in Singkil. We will place hopefully one extension officer before the end of the year. Still not sure. We have a trip by one of our teams there next week. So we are still trying to adapt on how we can manage extension, in particular in COVID situations. Still, despite all this, in Tamiang, in Aceh Tamiang, which is a small kabupaten or district on the eastern side of Aceh, through our first smallholder hub, we have managed to train 53 local government extension officers, which is now our goal, not do the extension on our own, but use the extension and have a multiplying effect. Expectations were extremely high for this, and I mean from the local government and from the extension officers themselves. So even with very tight protocols for preserving the health of everybody, the training went very well attended, and excellent participation. And we expect to train up to 75 extension workers by the beginning of 2021. So we have published recently our Aceh strategy, which also covers 2020 to 2025. So why a strategy document? We already have a sustainability policy. Why a strategy document and why specific to Aceh? Well, it's a way of putting together in a formal manner everything that we are, that we will, or that we want to do in Aceh. Some of the items are common to other regions. Some are a little bit more specific. Most important for us, it's a matter of being transparent of what is our commitment to Aceh. We are not the only ones committing to Aceh, and that's a good thing. We will lead where we think we can. We will follow where we think it's best. I think we have we might be fully successful. We might be partly successful. We do not mind. We're there for the long run, like we have demonstrated with our smallholder hub. It's the same kind of logic. The commitment is not a matter of means, it's also a matter of time. Most important for us is that we do not want to sit still about Aceh, and we know that others share the same feeling as we do, so we're very, very happy to collaborate. Let me give you now a high-level view of the strategy. So the Aceh strategy consists of 3 objectives you could see earlier, and in the pie chart. Objective A is engagement. Engagement, as you can imagine, is the linchpin. We want landscape transformation, and engagement is how it can be achieved. It's mostly about reaching out to our suppliers, but also to their suppliers, where we can help. And that includes FFB suppliers. So we're talking, of course, small estates or outgrowers, maybe some of you might call them, but also the famous intermediaries. We like them, we don't like them, I think is irrelevant. We have to realize that they are an integral part of the supply chain. So as we can, we're also engaging with them. We are supporting our suppliers to engage with them, trying to make clear what are the requirements. What we are also trying to make clear is that we are not there to take their business. They have a place in the supply chain if they participate to the supply chain being transparent and achieving a stop to deforestation. Because of the pandemic, of course, we've had to adapt how we engage. Remote engagement, we've done some. We've done remote webinars with our suppliers in Aceh. It worked fine, but it's not as good, of course, as direct engagement. Last point, of course, as you can see, is the smallholder hub. So a smallholder hub, let me present to you a little bit more what's a smallholder hub in case you're not yet familiar. So smallholder hub is what I call our battering ram for landscape transformation. We, Musim, as much as we wish, we cannot be good at everything, but that we try to be good at. Basically, if you want, it's our answer to what's in it for me. So we hope that most stakeholders can see value in the smallholder hub, can get an answer to what's in it for me. And that includes farmers, local governments, NGOs, and our customers. We train, we support smallholder extension services regardless of the supply chain they enter. So this is not exclusively for the smallholders who are entering our supply chain today or tomorrow or yesterday. No, it's the landscape. It's, to be frank, actually, it's also a simple business case. There is a simple business case, sorry. Smallholders, we all know, are the future of the industry. So supporting them, increase their yields in a responsible manner, will benefit us today or tomorrow. For the local governments, it's also a way to balancing an increased enforcement of the laws, the development of specific regulations to protect forests, to protect areas which have a high value, to protect species as well. And that balances, they have something to offer against that. Our objective B in the strategy is assurance. It's about demonstrating compliance with our NDP commitments, from due diligence to regular review of progress. 3 elements there: traceability, risk-based due diligence, and having a dedicated verification team. That's a bit labor intensive, but we are going to do it specifically for Aceh. Because of the high percentage of smallholders, it also includes some innovation in terms of due diligence. How can we assess the risk in a new supply shed, collecting enough information, but without having to wait for months of field work? The last objective, objective C, is monitoring and response. 3 elements, it looks quite obvious. 3 elements as well: deforestation and fire monitoring, anticipation and landscape level thinking, and what I would call horizon level or over the horizon outreach programs. Monitoring, it includes it includes the consequences of monitoring, so grievance management. Anticipation and landscape level mapping, it's about, for example, supporting the RAD deployment, because it's about how you collaborate at landscape level to verify and share information about alerts. It's also about finding new uses to satellite imagery, and in particular to support extension work, to support our smallholders hub. Basically, what we're trying to do there is also shake the tree a little bit and challenge the boffins, if you want. It's also trying to sidestep issues that we have. We know in Indonesia, with smallholders, the major issue is the land registry. Most people do not have land titles, and access to the land registry is extremely difficult. How can we find smart ways with satellite imagery coupled with work in the field for extension to sidestep that kind of issue? We will also be supporting the first HEV-HESA initiative indicative mapping covering 2 Kabupaten or districts. Indicative is maybe a little bit misleading. It will not be a desktop exercise. It's going to be actually a massive endeavor, and it's supported by a whole group of companies, not only Musim. Projects in Aceh, you can look them up as well on our website. So Aceh Tamiang, as we all talk about Aceh Tamiang, it's the pride and joy of every company involved. It's a great achievement of collaboration, thanks in particular to IDH, the Dutch initiative. They've kept everybody together, they've kept it moving, but also, and most important, to the local government, because local government has been committed from the beginning and has shown unwavering commitment. Also because of Unilever and Pepsi, who have linked consumers, or at least the customers, our customers, with the production area, which for them is, by the way, an extremely remote area in the supply chain of their suppliers, and not of their suppliers, but of the suppliers of their suppliers most of the time. So very good to see that linking between market and production. Very important and brings a lot of recognition. So Aceh Tamiang for us is particularly dear to us because of the first smallholder hub that we have had there. I think it's been a great success. We talked about that a bit earlier. I'll move on to Singkil now, which is where we are now wanted to move before the end of this year, but where COVID has had quite an impact on our plans. So Singkil is important because of the swamp and the peatlands, and because it overlaps with the Leuser ecosystem. It's almost a snapshot of Aceh all on its own. Singkil will be our first foothold on the west coast of Aceh. We are planning to, so we will have very briefly, very shortly, a smallholder hub. It will not be operational before the end of the year. We have a handful of very diverse suppliers there, from one RSPO-IP mill to a few independent mills. And this is where we are trialing now using satellite imagery to support our smallholder hub. A major particularity of Singkil is that we are being supported there. Our smallholder hub is being supported directly by General Mills. It's not so much about how much money General Mills have put in it, than it is about linking General Mills to a producing area. It's about stopping deforestation, not reducing it. I think I'm going to get some coal in my stockings, so we'll change what's on the slide. But we believe that our smallholder hub will contribute to stopping deforestation, not on its own, but it answers the question of what's in it for me, for the local government, producers as well, and possibly for our customers who can at the same time support landscape transformation and still have something very tangible to show, which is the training of smallholders, which is extremely consensual. So we are using the smallholder hub not only within the limited scope of training smallholders. And that's it for me today. I hope it was informative enough. And I hope you can support us in transforming the Aceh landscape. And I hope you also have questions for us. Thank you very much.